I haven't been here to Pinnacles National Park in 3 years, but the day has finally come where I've returned and I'm seeing a lot of new parts of the park. So in this video, we're going to be showing you all of the park's best mountain trails and caves. And it's Evan's first time.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. This is actually a really unique national park. It's very similar to Cherokee, which we just went to. So I'm really interested to see all the caves and the mountain peaks and just kind of experience a very different type of park.
You guys are not ready for day 3 of our California Coast series because this time we deviate off Highway 1 into the Central Valley for Pinnacles National Park. This was my second ever visit and there was so much I missed out on last time that resulted in this experience feeling much more complete. This includes the park's most popular caves where yes, self-guided tours are permitted, along with its signature hike, the High Peaks Trail, which is nothing short of outstanding. Additionally, Evan had never been to Pinnacles before, so I knew I had to show him around. Before delving into our day, here's a bit of a history lesson for you all. Established in 1908 as a national monument, but then redesignated in 2013, Pinnacles is the newest national park in California. It covers 26,606 acres and protects the namesake pinnacles that call this place home. These rock formations are remnants of a volcanic eruption which took place 23 million years ago near present-day Lancaster, California. They were shaped by erosion, faulting, and tectonic plate movement, also resulting in talus caves, which are caves specifically formed by boulders falling from cliffs and wedging into slot canyons. Aside from its diverse rock and cave features, Pinnacles' other claim to fame is its variety of wildlife, and most importantly, its California condor. These birds, the largest land species in North America, were once critically endangered but have had a beautiful recovery story in Pinnacles National Park, with population numbers increasing. It's easy to mistake these guys as turkey vultures, which are also prevalent in this park, but those are much smaller and have white in a different location on the underside of their wings. Alright, now I feel comfortable getting the ball rolling, and we begun at the old Pinnacles trailhead so we could conquer what used to be my favorite hike in the park. The 5.3-mile loop is spectacular, and is really the standout hike of the park for those coming in from the west entrance. It's important to note that the park is split in half and isn't connected by road. You definitely get more bang for your buck by coming in from the east entrance like we did. The majority of the old Pinnacles trail is flat and not particularly exciting, as it's just trying to get you to the other end of the park where the good stuff happens to be on this particular hike. I did take note of the park's mountains looking a lot greener than the last time I visited though, which is an advantage of coming in the spring, among other things which I'll get to later. You might also spot your first small rock formations, which are cool at first glance but truly pale in comparison to what's to come. The old Pinnacles specifically are quite possibly the largest rock formations in the entire park. You'll get your first look just before reaching cave 1 of 3 at Pinnacles, the Balconies Cave. So last time I came here, it was all dry. There was no water to be seen. And this time, we're literally having to walk through the water pretty much to get into the first talus cave of the day here at Old Pinnacles. Evan is nerding out over there. I just can't believe how much moss is everywhere.
Yeah, this is crazy because, yeah, I've seen your pictures from your last video and it was not this green. And just, oh man, it looks like, I don't know, out of a fairy tale or something.
The Balconies Cave was the only cave that was open the last time I visited the park, the others of which are closed a lot due to bat rehabilitation. This one, however, is all reliable, and that doesn't make it any less good than the others. For these cave segments, I want to switch to vlog mode so you can hear our reactions to navigating them. That way you hopefully feel more so like you're there with us. So they do require flashlights on this trail. We picked up like a cheap $2 one yesterday at Walmart. This looks unbelievable.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh. I just realized too, you do have the arrows to help you out as well. It's amazing. Dude, this is so cool.
There's a little waterfall back in here.
Oh yeah, let's go see it.
Wow.
Oh man, no, it's gonna get way crazier, I think. Ready to get on all fours?
Let's go.
I absolutely love the Balconies Cave. It's short but sweet and definitely has a wild feel to it. It seamlessly transitions to this slot canyon area with boulders balancing overhead, which is another trail highlight and just as enjoyable as the actual cave itself. This next part of the Old Pinnacles trail once you emerge into the daylight is one of my favorite spots in the entire park, as the sheer size of the rocks are unfathomable. From afar and from the base of these, you just can't go wrong, and in many ways the latter feels more like giant cliffs than rock formations. It's also worth noting that this is where the park's mountain scenery was most prevalent up to this point in the day, and I feel like a lot of people don't recognize how mountainous Pinnacles truly is. It's really pretty awesome. Oh, and off camera we did spot 2 California condor. I was just seconds too late to getting my camera out, but even then it would have been difficult to capture since I don't have a zoom in lens. Nevertheless, very cool, and I get why they'd want to hang out here. Even if the whole experience on the Old Pinnacles trail isn't the best, its highlights are genuinely outstanding. This hike is just amazing. It's as good as I remembered, if not maybe a little better, because of all the greenery and the moss covering all the rocks. It's beautiful this time of year, and I'm so glad we got to experience that cave again. Just so dark. I feel like that one you could probably get away with a phone flashlight, but I still wouldn't really recommend it, especially because if you come here, you also have to try Bear Gulch, which I've heard is a little bit more intense, but yeah, I can't wait to try that. This has been an incredible first impression to Pinnacles, especially for Evan over here, who's never been.
Yeah, Pinnacles National Park so far is really impressing me. Just the green on the rocks and everything, and just the way the rocks look, it's just really impressive. And of course, the cave itself was so cool climbing around in there. So
next up on our agenda was no joke our most anticipated hike of the trip. I'd been looking forward to this one since I first learned about it after my original visit to Pinnacles. I was saddened when I found out what I'd missed out on, but acknowledged that it was a great excuse to come back in addition to the iconic Bear Gulch caves, which you can add on as an extension assuming they're open. More on that later. We are about to begin the longest hike of the day. This is a big one, guys. From Moses Spring Trailhead all the way around the High Peaks Trail through the Bear Gulch Cave and back to the parking lot. So we actually parked closest to the Bear Gulch Cave, and we're walking on this little spur trail right now.
yeah, it's supposed to be the highlight of the park, and I think it's gonna be one of the best hikes that we've ever done. So I can't wait for this.
This challenging route is more than 5 miles round trip with 1,633 feet of elevation gain. The uphill is dispersed nicely, but this trail is still a butt kicker, and it's worth familiarizing yourself with its various sections before trying it yourself. As stated, we parked as close to our endpoint as possible, which is right near the Bear Gulch Caves at the Moses Spring parking area. This lot tends to fill up on busier days, so if that's the case, you can also park at the Condor Gulch Trailhead. Your experience will barely be affected. After taking the connector trail over there, we started climbing hills and mountains in what is honestly a pretty slow and uninteresting start to the hike. But like with many longer trails, you gotta give it some time to really get good, and to me, things start to pick up drastically once you get to the Condor Gulch Overlook. So we officially made it to the Condor Gulch Overlook. This is one of the most popular spots in the park to actually see the California condor. Fun fact, Evan, we actually saw 2 earlier. I didn't film it though.
Yeah.
They went by so quick. They were flying overhead.
It's also hard because you have this zoom lens, so it's really hard to like, zoom in on the birds anyways.
Yeah, but we could clearly tell the difference between that and the turkey vulture, and the condor is absolutely enormous compared to them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this end point of this hike is fantastic with all the pinnacles. I actually did this in 2022, but this was my turnaround point, so I'm really excited to keep going because this is actually where like it seems to get really good.
Yeah, this is where the High Peaks Trail starts, and it's supposed to get really, really cool. There's some climbing involved, and it just has tons of views the entire time, so I can't wait for this.
Condor Gulch Overlook isn't crazy in and of itself, as its main purpose is to provide California condor viewing, but it does mark a point in the trail where you start to see a ton of large pinnacles. Being surrounded by these fascinating shapes and sizes is nothing short of amazing, and I especially love the portion up top that has that jagged look to them. What stands out most about the rock formations here compared to other parks is no doubt its color content. Since they are volcanic, it's possible for the rocks to have this incredible orange to them. After this, you begin rounding this corner, which takes a while, but on the other end, you do get your first of many jaw-dropping mountain views on this hike. Better yet, when the pinnacles and mountains come together, that's hard to beat. Just absolutely incredible the way the orange and green complement each other, 2 colors that hardly ever intertwine in nature. At this point, the trail finally flattens out and gives you a nice long break to catch your breath before things get real again. But the views don't stop. If anything, they only get better as more and more perspectives reveal themselves. I could not put my camera down because every single one of these blew me away. The rock formations making their way down the mountains, cascading until it hits the old pinnacles, which you see out in the distance. It's where that giant rounded boulder mountain thing is. Its base is literally where the balconies cave from earlier is located. Being up here, you can clearly tell that this isn't that big of a national park, but it packs in so much, and it's great how they've interconnected everything by trail. If you wanted to, you could easily make a bigger loop out of this, even combining it with the old Pinnacles trail. Check it out. Evan just pointed out you can actually park here on the west side. I'm sure I explained this earlier in the video, but you can't actually drive between both sides of the park. That's just crazy how far down it is. Oh my gosh. In any case, it's time for possibly my favorite part of the hike, and that's where you start to snake your way in and around the pinnacles. A couple months ago, Evan and I had the chance to visit Chiricahua National Monument, maybe soon to be National Park, in Arizona, and they had a hike called the Big Loop that did exactly this. So to us, it kind of felt like we were back in some alternate dimension version of that. And just like at Chiricahua, this interactive bit lasts a while, and the trail gets stupid creative the way it gets you to climb through the pinnacles. You'll begin to notice these carved steps in the rock, which act as an appetizer before the railings come in and it gets steeper. These segments can be legitimately intimidating, but definitely going up is better than going down, so I was glad we navigated this trail counterclockwise. I also love this small bridge and corresponding carved steps that take you under boulders so you can proceed along the route. You'll then begin your downhill trajectory at long last, which continues the phenomenally unique views, even throwing in a few tunnels carved into the pinnacles. With so much video footage and not enough to say, I'll try to squeeze in my last few favorite angles from the way back down. This entire experience altered my view of this national park, and to think we still had big things to come at the end. Oh man, that was an incredibly difficult but amazing hike. We have made it to the Bear Gulch Reservoir. I remember this from a few years ago. It's such a pleasant spot and a great way to kind of finish the hike. Well, not finish the hike, wrap it up, I guess, because we do still have the Bear Gulch Cave to come next, which I think that might be the highlight of the entire park, but that was an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, that trail was absolutely amazing. It was very difficult and it was long, but man, just the views up there was just never ending. It was so interesting with the way the trail was designed, and now getting down to here, this is really cool. And now we're about to do probably the best thing the entire day, which is the Bear Gulch Cave. So really excited for that. This is one heck of a national park, I would say.
The Bear Gulch Reservoir is one of Pinnacles' most photogenic sites, with a rare, plentiful water source in a relatively dry part of the state. I assure you, it's only this green in the spring, a complete 180 from a visit in, say, late summer, early fall. But I absolutely love this spot both times I've been to the park. The first time I just did a short walk from the Moses Spring parking lot that I mentioned to the reservoir and then turned back around. You have a number of medium-sized pinnacles boxing in the water, and there's always a bunch of colorful dragonflies hanging out over here. With that being said, it was now time for the Bear Gulch Caves, which we both couldn't wait to check out. This was closed for me the first time I came, and in March there's about a 3 to 4 week stretch at most where both the upper and lower parts of the cave are open simultaneously. That makes March easily the best month to come to Pinnacles National Park, as all 3 caves are available, and now I can't imagine ever coming here without getting to experience them all. Alrighty, here it goes, Bear Gulch Cave. Get that flashlight out, baby. That's sick. Look how different this gate looks, just inside of the cave already. It's crazy. Oh, that's tight. All right, guys, this is way tighter than the last one, and darker as well. You need a flashlight for this. Oh, wow. Oh, I almost keep hitting my head. Oh, look at this. It opens up. There's a nice balance of like open areas and like tight areas. Oh, so rad. And that's it. Amazing.
I think that might have been the upper cave. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But I think that might have been the hard part. This is the one that's closed all the time and it's really hard to do because of bats. And I think that's the gate I remember seeing for the upper gate. So I think that is the hard one. I think we're now about to go into the lower cave, which is supposed to be the more accessible, easier one that has just kind of stairs and easy pathways, where the other one is definitely more of a climbing.
You might be right, because we found this. This is the entrance for both caves, and it would make sense that it would kind of splits off. One goes up, one goes down.
Yeah,
so I think you're right.
I think the rest of the time it's going to be like this, where it's just a path.
Evan turned out to be spot on. We accidentally went straight for the far more challenging upper cave, but having said that, it really wasn't as bad as we expected while still maintaining an exciting adventure element to it. The lower cave, which you see here, is the most popular cave of the 3 in the park due to how accessible and navigable it is. There's no difficulty that comes with this. As a matter of fact, you could probably get away with just a phone flashlight for this one, and even though it's about as short as the balconies cave, it probably has the best views of the 3. There's so many large open areas with natural light shining through that brightens up spectacular rooms and tight canyons. Oh wow, that's a big waterfall. It keeps going down. Well, we did it, and you were absolutely right. That was the lower cave. That was fantastic, the scale of that. But then the adventure of the upper cave, and balconies is kind of a mix of both worlds, but it's a little bit short. So like all 3 of them are so worth doing if they're all open.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the upper cave is definitely more for the adventure, and the lower cave is definitely the best overall views of all the caves, and the balconies is kind of a mix of the 2. So yeah, absolutely amazing. And in fact, you add this on top of all the stuff we just did on this trail plus the reservoir. I mean, this has got to be one of the best trails in California, if not one of the best trails in the United States.
After leaving the entrance gate for Bear Gulch, you have a few more slot canyon-esque areas to navigate, which I actually do recall getting to experience the last time I came, so it's great that even when the caves are closed, which as we discussed can be quite often, you're still able to get a taste of what it's like. There's also a few more solid views from within the trees as you make your way back to the parking lot of your choice. You get to see some smaller, albeit highly colorful rocks on the hillside, and it was cool spotting some rock climbers here, as that's another thing Pinnacles is very popular for. Oh man, let's show you guys what we've done today.
So first we did this and went all the way up and did the Balconies Trail, which is about 5.5 miles or so. And then afterwards we came over and parked over here. Then we went up the Condor Gulch Trail, went all the way up, went over high peaks, went down high peaks, came on all the way down, did the rim trail all the way to the Bear Gulch Reservoir, and then went through the caves back to the parking lot.
Ridiculous. Overall, this national park is absolutely shooting up my list. I remember coming last time and I thought to myself, this is a good park, but not a great one. Now I think it's a great one because I've done everything it has to offer. I feel like I don't need to come back for a very long time.
Yeah, that blew me away. I was expecting to like this place, but I liked it even more than I was expecting. It's just the caves, the mountains, the pinnacles themselves. There was just so much to see and do. The trails were so well designed. I really enjoy this national park, and I think it's definitely up there as one of my favorites, and I'm surprised about that because I don't really expect it because this park kind of gets trashed on.
So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one from Yosemite.